Ladies and gentlemen, Geri Petito.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Loves the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
When you don't know just what to do,
Just what to do, just what to do.
if what you're feeling is really true,
Is it really true? Is it really true?
just keep your ideas safe and sound.
Safe and sound, safe and sound.
That's exactly how change is found.
Change is found, change is found. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Loves the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geri Petito Show. Everyone and anyone who knows me knows I am the author of I'm Not an Addict, I'm Just an Ass. I'd rather be a smartass than a dumbass. Because over 33 years ago, guys, I was a dumbass. But today, 33 years later, through the grace of God, I can honestly say now I'm a smartass. And yes, the word ass is in the Bible at least 40 times, and it means donkey. And that's what I was. I'm saying all that to say this, we've lost a lot of people over the last few years, all around the world, not just here, and a lot through addiction. And I want to let everyone out there know that someone is listening. I'm a recovery coach. I'm also a nutritional health coach. All my services to you are free. Please, please reach out. If you think my book can help someone, because I do, you can go right to Simon & Schuster's bookstore, Archway Publishing, BAM, Amazon, Barnes & Noble. You can go to my website, www.geripetito.com, and please subscribe to the Geri Petito Show YouTube channel. And guys, if you truly, truly, truly cannot afford my book, please reach out to me about that as well. Thank you. And I want to give a shout out to a few of my sponsors before I introduce my incredible guest. Okay, first we have Stormin Norman Selden, 732-245-4777, www.storminnormanselden.com, booking dozens of attractions. Okay, guys, for concerts and performances on venues of all sizes. He's got from 5 to 12-piece band as needed, all right? Really cool. Ken Ryan and Linda Garofalo, The Way It Used to Be, the 50s through the 80s, a tribute to the greatest music and voices of all time. Ken also does Elvis for me, and they are really amazing people, and what they do for fundraisers is off the charts, so two beautiful souls right there. Okay, Michael D'Amore, singer, songwriter, performer, entertainer, www.michaeldamore.com. The guy's voice is off the charts, guys, and you can go purchase some of his songs at his website. Michael Zanman, singer, entertainer, performer, www.mzanman.com. He will have you cracking up while you're enjoying incredible music. He is so much fun. John Monforto, the man of many faces, singer, actor, celebrity impersonator, and tribute artist. I gave him the name the man of many faces, and he was given the name by a former Philadelphia mayor as the official Philadelphia Rocky impersonator. www.johnmonforto.com. He does over 30 characters, and of course, my three favorites that he does, being Italian, is The Godfather, Rocky, and of course, Elvis. Last but certainly not least, John Bishop, a.k.a. Johnny B., singer, songwriter, host of the Entertainment Luncheon South, a nonprofit network created for the creative. Entertainment Luncheon South Facebook page, and he's also the partner in the Joey D and Johnny B Rockin' Oldies Band. And guys, what they do once a month for all the entertainers is incredible. It's by invite only, but they promote all of us. Okay, so I want to give a shout out and a big thank you to John and Linny. And happy birthday, Linny. Love you, girl. Okay, so now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce my incredible guest, okay? Rick Saphire, say hello to everybody.
Hello to everybody, and hello to you, Geri, and this is great fun being here.
So, Rick, let me tell you something. I am intrigued with your story. And I know most everyone out there is going to be. So before we even talk about everything, just tell everyone right now a little bit about you.
Okay. I'm a part-time shepherd. I have a flock of sheep. Just kidding.
Uh-huh.
I'm me. I started in show business at the age of 5. Yeah, at least that's what my press clippings say, because I don't remember much about 5. But I made my first professional appearance as a singing and dancing little kid at a place called the Flagship Theater Restaurant. And that was on Route 22 in Union, New Jersey. And I wouldn't be surprised if the building is still there. It was actually right on the medial strip, which was huge, on Route 22 in Union. There was a ship, and it was actually a dinner theater. And you would go in, you'd go up the gangplank, you'd walk in. They'd be dressed up as people who would take care of you on a ship, and I performed there, and I got pictures of that. The showbiz bug bit me there. I had family in show business. Certainly, before I was born, I had family in show business because my mom, Rose Saphire, was the personal assistant and secretary and gal Friday to songwriter Irving Berlin. And she was there for 13 or 14 of his most productive years. My mom's sister was a very popular dancer and part of a dance team. Eventually, she married a guy named Ernie Glucksman, who happened to be the executive producer and director of a television program called the Colgate Comedy Hour. And it was on that show that Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis really gained national prominence and national attention. And Uncle Ernie was my guru, and he introduced me to Jerry Lewis when I was 6. And little did Jerry know that day in 1953, no, everybody's doing the math now. In 1953, when I was 6, little did Jerry know, I should say, that one day I'd actually become his personal manager. So that's all I can remember about my life until right now. And this is great fun.
So, all right, everybody, Rick Saphire was not only, Jerry Lewis's manager, he's now also managing Gary Lewis and the Playboys, correct? Jerry's son.
That is correct.
Okay.
This year, Gary Lewis and the Playboys marked their 60th anniversary in the music business, and Gary has a record that I don't think anybody's beaten yet. Gary's first 7 releases, including this diamond ring, which was the first release, Gary's first 7 releases went to the top 10. It took Dean Martin 17 years to get his first, I should say, to get his seventh top 10 recording. It took him 17 years to do that. Gary and the band are fabulous. Years ago, people used to ask Gary, what is your gimmick? And because all the bands back in the 60s had a gimmick, whether it was a haircut or dressed up like a British soldier, whatever it was, they all had gimmicks. And Gary always said that his gimmick is he has no gimmick. He just sang the songs and made the music, and he's still doing it.
That is so ridiculously cool. Okay, so I want everybody out there to know, like, this guy's still going strong and with these incredible, singers. And before we get into all the Jerry Lewis stuff, I want you to talk a little bit about some of these other people, okay? So, all right, Elvis Presley, you got to meet some of the women that starred with Elvis?
Oh, yeah. As a matter of fact, Chris Noel, who was one of my favorite people, I'm not going to remember the movies that they're in.
No, I'm not worried about that.
But look them up. Chris Noel was actually the original voice of Vietnam radio. And when they made the movie, Hello Vietnam, whatever the name of the movie, actually they were talking about Chris. And she was in a very popular movie with Elvis. And she was beautiful. Chris Noel actually brought the miniskirt to the United States.
Wow.
Other people with Elvis, Cynthia Pepper was in, what's the movie where Elvis played his own twin?
Oh, Kissing Cousins.
Kissing Cousins. And, she was in Kiss. She got to, she got to give Elvis a judo flip in that movie, and of course a kiss, which was although she was kissing his cousin.
Imagine kissing two Elvises. I just had to say it. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I know that, but she only got to kiss one. She only got to kiss one, and there were certainly others that I represented, not in those days, but certainly in the 70s and 80s and 90s, and they still like to do personal appearances and autograph shows and that sort of thing. So that's my closest attachment to Elvis.
Okay. Now, Goldie Hawn, talk about that.
Well, Goldie Hawn is very interesting, and I write about her in the book. By the way, Jerry, it was very nice that you held up your book, and I think that's terrific. But you see what I did? I'm trying to see. You should have a gigantic copy of your book in back of you.
Well, wait, hold on. I used to
Oh,
do
did you?
that, and then I'll explain off air why I took that down. All right.
Oh,
There you go.
okay. All right. Well, I'll leave that up until it falls down by itself. Okay, so where were we? We were going to say something, and I distracted myself.
Okay. So no. Goldie Hawn.
Goldie Hawn. I never represented Goldie, but it's very, very interesting what happened. I was with Jerry for his. He was 79 years old, and I got a call from a producer in Germany who invited Jerry to be the recipient of an honor called the Golden Camera. And the Golden Camera Awards in Germany and a large part of Europe were tantamount to the Oscars or even the Academy Awards here. The Golden Camera was a huge award ceremony each year, and they wanted Jerry to receive their honorary Lifetime Achievement Award. I remember Jerry telling me when he was turning 80, he said, "Rick, they're all giving me awards now for getting old," which was kind of funny. But it's true, you reach a certain age, and they all stand in line to give you awards. But Jerry never had, when I began representing him years before that, Jerry never got an Oscar because the media and the industry never took Jerry's movie seriously. Up until about 1967, all of Jerry's movies were way under the budget of any other Hollywood movies, and many of them made a lot more money than most. But there was kind of a resentfulness there, and Jerry wasn't going to be given an award for any of his work, which is very sad because that's what we remember and that's what was terrific. So
Okay.
I go to the Golden Camera Awards, and there's plenty of celebrities there. And there I look in the lobby. Jerry's in his room. I look in the lobby, and there's Goldie Hawn standing across the lobby. And I was thinking, well, should I bother her? I'd like to go over and say hi. And somebody points to me, and Goldie walks over to me. This was 2006.
Okay.
So, and she says, "Hi, Mr. Saphire." And I said, "No, Mr. Saphire was my father. Please call me Rick." And she laughed, and she said, "Hi, I'm Goldie Hawn." And I started to laugh. I said, "You think you really have to tell me?" So she laughed, and now we were friends. And she said, "I'm wondering if it's possible if I could meet Jerry Lewis." And I said, "Of course." I said, "As a matter of fact, let me arrange something. We have a banquet dinner, and we'll make sure that we're together. So you'll get to spend time with him. And he knows you're here, and he admires you," which is all the truth. So we had a great time in Germany. I've got lots of pictures and a lot of great stories.
Okay.
But when we came back to the United States, I thought it was time for me to contact the Academy to see what I would have to do, maybe to get Jerry some type of honorary Lifetime Achievement Award Oscar.
Okay.
You know, Jerry hosted, I believe, 2 times the awards back in the 1950s. Jerry's career was tremendous at that point, and now he was starting to be forgotten. So I called up the Academy, and there was a new president, but I talked to this young fellow who said, "Oh, we love Jerry Lewis," and he was telling me all these stories. And he said, "And Rick, I would love to put his name into nomination." He said, "We're about 3 years behind now. You know, we've got people, but I can't do it with you because, and he checked it out pretty quickly, I was not a member of the Motion Picture Academy. That's not my business. And he said, Rick, if you can find a member of the Motion Picture Academy who could write us a letter asking what you're asking, then we can get Geri into the nomination pool for for an achievement award. So I called Goldie. And she said, Rick, I would absolutely love to do it. And we talked for a while, and I gave her the address where to send it, although she knew it. She certainly was a member of the Academy. And that was it. I didn't hear from anybody for months, and honestly, I forgot about it. And I got a call from this fellow who I spoke with at the Academy. He said, Rick, he said, I just want to call you to let you know that we received the most wonderful letter from Goldie Hawn. And she mentioned your name in the letter, but the letter was about Jerry Lewis. She says, have you read the letter? He asked me that, and I said, honestly, no. I said, I didn't even follow up. She said she would do it, and I trusted her, and that was that. He read the letter to me, and it was absolutely the most beautiful, heartfelt letter talking about Jerry's work. And, not just about being a fundraiser, that, but his actual work in the films and what he created for humanity by giving us laughter. And it was a wonderful letter. And he said, Jerry's in the nomination pool. Anyway, 3 years later, I believe, Geri got his award. And I blame it on two people. I blame it on Geri, and I blame it on Goldie Hawn.
And on you. Listen to me.
Well,
Listen to me, Rick. Hold it. I want to hear you say you blame it on you as well. Because if you didn't make that call to Goldie, none of this would have happened. So say it.
Okay. I blame it on...
That's right, as well.
That's about the best I
All
can
right,
do.
there you go. Now, one more question, and then we'll get to Geri. The Three Stooges. Come on.
They beat the heck out of me.
All right, good. Come on, baby. Let's hear it.
Smacking me, punching me. No, I did a lot of, when I was I know I'm going to mention this, and this is going to open up a whole new world to you here. When I wanted to be in show business as a kid, Geri started off as a record mine. Something like that never entered my mind, but I loved magic from the time I was 6 years old. And I started doing magic shows when I was about 6 or 7. And by the time I was a teenager, I was on The Tonight Show. I was the youngest paid performer to be on The Tonight Show to that date. And that was July 6th, 1962, BC. Now, you're old enough to know what BC stands for. Before Carson.
Okay, there you go.
So I did that show, and I got myself off track again. Well, I loved magic, and that was my thing. And I did movie theaters. In those days, this was really in the 1960s, early to mid 1960s. There weren't these, 12-plex theaters. It was one movie theater, and most of the movie theaters, like in Newark, New Jersey, where I grew up, these were old vaudeville houses that were converted into movie theaters, and some of them would hold 3,000 people for a movie theater. Anyway, so I did a lot of these. I would do 15 minutes on stage, and then they would show the kiddie matinee or whatever. But this time, an agent called me and asked me whether I would be interested in doing a show with some celebrities who were promoting a movie. And I said, yeah, sure. I didn't think much about it. When is it? And he told me the dates, and I said, I called my manager. I said, Ma, is it okay if I do the so-and-so theater? And yeah, and his mom said, of course, Ricky. And who was promoting their movie and on the bill were Mo, Larry, and Joe DeRita, Curly Joe. So I got to meet my heroes, and they were my heroes. And I still did my magic act for many, many years. When I was 17 years old, I dropped my magic act and went into comedy because, to be honest with you, the girls were far more interested in comedians than they were in magicians.
So wait, I have a question. Wait, I want to interrupt you. Okay,
Please
so
do.
I love comedians and I love magicians. I'm a crazy magic person where I try to get the magicians to tell me what they just did. All right?
Oh, sure.
So how many donuts would it take for me to buy you, for you to tell me some of the tricks? Just saying.
Yeah, no, I won't do it.
All right, we'll talk in person, off the air. Come on.
Well, I certainly wouldn't do it on there. If there was people, I owned and operated magic shops for years because
Oh.
considering Paul Newman sold salad dressing, I figured, I should also have a day job sometime. And I opened up a magic shop back in 1980, and I figured I'd have it for a couple of years until my little infant daughter was old enough to go to school. Then I'd go back on the road again. The magic shop closed for business finally after 41 years.
I love
And
that.
I did that all, I had the stores, I had people working for me and all. But people would say to me, well, Rick, if, magicians are never supposed to tell their secrets, how do you have a magic shop? And the answer to that's easy. Well, if you don't have a magic shop, then you don't have any more magicians.
That's
so
true.
then it's over.
You're right.
And so, of course, you share your secrets with
Okay.
somebody who's interested in performing
Yeah.
the magic. And so I could talk for hours about it.
I've had a lot of magicians on several shows for years. They would come in and do magic right in front of us.
Mhm.
And one of them recently last year just blew my mind. And I'll share it real quick with you. You don't have to answer.
Okay.
Just think about
All
it.
right.
We'll talk about it off the air. So he mails me an envelope and he says, do not open the envelope. Bring it with you. Okay, and I even put like a little heart or something on the envelope so I knew that was my envelope, whatever. It's in my car the whole time, never opened it, nothing. I come to the studio, he's on this side, there's other magicians here. He's like, all right, so I have my envelope right here with the heart on it, unopened. He's like, okay, Jerry, now it's time to open your envelope. I open my envelope. There was a singer on there. Now, if it would have been Elvis, then I would have known it was fixed because everyone knows I'm a huge Elvis fan. It wasn't. Long story short, he goes through his phone. He's like, all right, pick a number from one whatever. I pick a number. And then something else, I forget what else happened. I end up picking something that had to do with this singer before I even knew who the singer was.
Mhm.
And I know it's a trick. I know. But the way it went down, I still cannot figure it out. That's how brilliant it was. So,
Well, I believe that, and there are
know?
a number of different scenarios
Yeah.
that I could
I know.
figure were being used. But you said something that was very interesting. You said, well, I forgot exactly what he did. And that is the key to a lot of magic. People, after they see a magic trick, they will try to recreate what happened in their mind to try to figure out where the trick was. But people don't remember.
Well, I have it on air live, so I have.
Yeah.
When we first did it last year, I watched it 10 times.
Yeah, but
And I
there's
still
gotta
couldn't.
there's got to be something there
Yep,
that you
yep, I know.
that you are not paying attention
You're
to,
right.
or something that happened
You're right.
before. So whatever it was, if it was a great
was
trick,
brilliant.
then he did his job.
Okay, so
But
now-
hold on a second. Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll tell her. Yeah, that was Harry Houdini. He said, "Mind your business."
I love it. All right, so now let's get into your book. Tell
Okay.
everyone the title of your book, when you wrote it. Come on.
Well, the book is being written. Actually, we're still pushing for a publication date of the 28th of this month.
Okay,
And
because
the
I want
title
the
of
book, baby. I want the book.
The title of the book is, let's see if I can do it. It's The Real Jerry Lewis Story.
Okay.
Because Jerry Lewis has had two autobiographies. One, Dean and Me, A Love Story, and the other is this book that Jerry and Herb Gluck wrote in around 1982. And interesting stuff in there. Oh, my microphone just appeared. That's magic.
There it is.
If you like Jerry Lewis, you could read those books, but you're not going to read the real Jerry Lewis
No,
story.
I want your book, baby.
There are so many things. Mr. Gluck, who I never met, who was a sort of a ghostwriter along with Jerry, he left some very essential things out, including my uncle, who helped to craft and crafted Martin and Lewis's comedy, made the Colgate Comedy Hour. My uncle was the executive producer and director of all of the Martin and Lewis episodes of the Colgate Comedy Hour. He then became Jerry's personal manager when Dean and Jerry broke up, and his executive producer, and so on and so forth. Whoops, Herb Gluck forgot to mention Uncle Ernie. But then again, Jerry forgot to mention Uncle Ernie, too. So, my book is going to have all the stuff in there that I like to say that it is not a biography of Jerry Lewis. It's an addendum to everything that's been written about him, either in book form or in interview form or in the newspapers and whatever. There's a lot of things, and people are going to be very, very surprised at how different this book is going to be than people imagine. But I haven't been able to give away too many secrets yet.
But Rick Saphire, everybody, listen, he's the author. He was his personal manager. He's now managing his son. He should know. If anyone should know, he should know. So, Rick, I'm assuming that everything in this book are facts, correct?
Yes, everything. Not only are things factual, but we also have documentation.
Yep.
We have birth certificates. We
Yes.
have marriage licenses. We have everything, just to be able to let the people see how Jerry Lewis really came about. And it's not just about Jerry. People don't think about it or realize it, and maybe it's not that important to people. But Jerry Lewis is from a family dynasty in the entertainment business that now goes back over 100 years. His father was a professional singer and a recording artist. That was Danny. Jerry's mother was a fabulous pianist, and her husband Danny's a accompanist. Jerry, of course, became a recording star, and we know all of the other things that Jerry did. Jerry's wife, Patty, who I knew so well, and I loved Patty. She was one of my heroes. She was the one who brought Gary Lewis and the Playboys into existence. Jerry was on the road making films, doing whatever he was doing, and without Jerry's knowledge, Jerry comes back from a 3 or 4 month photo shoot, and he finds out that all of a sudden his son has a record that's heading to the top 10.
It's pretty cool.
That was Patty. And then there's some secrets about Patty, which are fascinating. If people are looking just for salacious stuff, you're not really going to find, because that's not, I mean, it's interesting to some people. Jerry once said to somebody in the press, and it became viral even before there was the internet with that kind of viral. Jerry made a comment. He said, after the night I spent with Marilyn Monroe, I couldn't walk for 2 weeks. That was Jerry's joke. And the media took it seriously, and there has been these rumors all along that Jerry had an affair with Marilyn Monroe. I know the truth because I asked him point blank, and he gave me my answer in
Jerry
7
language.
words.
Jerry
In
language.
7 words, which I'm not going to tell you because
I can imagine. I'm Italian, honey. I already hear it.
But Marilyn Monroe has nothing to worry about her reputation when it comes to Jerry Lewis. But there are other things in Jerry's youth and background that are earth-shattering. But you ask questions.
Okay.
I'll answer whatever questions.
All
you
right. So can I be funny right now and say what I think he said to you?
Sure.
All right. In my effing wildest dreams.
Oh, I'm going to tell you because I like you. I'm going to break my rules. I'm going to give away a little tidbit.
Okay.
Honestly, and
Okay.
this is
Yes.
the truth.
Yes.
I said to Jerry, because we were talking about the ladies in his life, and he did absolutely adore and for a while loved Stella Stevens, who I represented for a while.
Come on.
And she was a doll. He fell in love with her, truly fell in love with her. But there were some others, and I said to him, Jerry, what about Marilyn? I said, to me, she didn't seem your type. What about Marilyn? And he looked at me straight in the eyes and he said, Ricky, because he knew me from before 1962 when I was still Ricky. He said, Ricky, sometimes you have to give the press what they want to hear.
Okay.
And that was his answer.
There you go. Okay, Ricky. Well, thank you for that, Ricky.
You got it.
So now I do have some questions for you.
Okay.
All right. So when I've been talking about this interview for a while. First of all, I want to thank you for honoring me today because I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I was a huge Jerry Lewis fan. And whatever. I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing this for me. All
Oh,
right.
yeah,
So
yeah.
now I've been talking about this, and of course, I get a lot of questions from people. You got to ask him this because I heard this and I heard, and there have been some terrible rumors going around about Jerry Lewis. But the one that kind of hurt my heart the most, if it's true, is did Jerry take any of the money from the telethons?
No. Okay. Well, I mean, that's a great question,
Okay.
and that is one of the 2 or 3 top questions that I've
Okay.
been asked since I'm a kid.
Okay.
Number one, did Jerry get paid for doing the telethons? Did he take money from the telethon? I'm going to answer that for you.
Okay.
But that's number one. The other question, always, the second one or maybe the first one is, why did Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis break up?
There you go.
And the interesting thing is, that happened in 1956. Do you know how long ago that is? And people today, even younger people, are still fascinated
Yep.
with why did Martin and Lewis break up? And I usually give them, when I don't have time, I can't start explaining it. It's a very deep story. But I usually answer, all right, go ahead, Jerry, ask me why Martin and Lewis broke up. And I'll tell you my
Well,
stock
wait,
answer.
you got to answer the first one first.
No, you got to ask me the question. Why'd they break
All
up?
right.
Then I'll go to the
All
first
right,
one.
so we'll do that one first because I love this question. Why did they break up? But don't answer yet because, again, you know that I'm sure you've seen it 1,000 times. I saw it again just recently on, YouTube where they show when Dean Martin walks in and Jerry Lewis is surprised and they hug. And I just
Oh,
love
yeah,
that.
that was great.
So
That-
why did they break up?
Okay, that's not the proper question. The proper question would be, how the hell did they stay together for 10 years?
Hey, wait. Okay, Ricky.
That's the
How
question.
the hell did they stay together all those years?
It's none of your business. No, of
I
course,
love
your
it.
business. No, why? 2 reasons. Bread and butter.
Okay.
Dean was not lazy, but Dean also knew where his bread was being buttered, and for the years that they were together, he was pretty satisfied, and he had a good life, and he had his friends, and Jerry was a dynamo to the point where it was very compulsive, his behavior, his treatment of people. And, I always told people, I had people, and I'm sure this happens with every manager of every star, I had people offering me sizable amounts of money to somehow create a meeting between them and Jerry. Rick, even if you can get me backstage and I can grab a picture, I'll give you $1,000. And of course, I always turned it down. And I always told people, if you're going to love your heroes, love them for their work, because you're always going to be let down.
Okay.
People are people, and we paint an image of who we want them to be. And it doesn't always work out. It doesn't always work out that way. So let's get back to your question.
No, wait, hold it. I have to comment. You have to hear this first because it's about
listening.
Jerry and Dean.
I'm all
Okay,
ears.
So I don't know if you've ever heard of a gentleman named Angelo Capone.
Yeah, I know Angelo very well.
Okay, you know him. He's like family to me. I've had him so many times. Been told. All right, I love Angelo, and
He's great.
one of our very first interviews, he told the story about how when he was a kid and he went into the movie theater and he said, "Mommy, why is this man making fun of me?" He's one of the greatest impersonators of Jerry Lewis I've ever seen. He's incredible, and he said the Nutty Professor saved his life because he has all dyslexia, has all these issues, and
Right.
because of Jerry Lewis and because of the Nutty Professor, look where it's taken Angelo. I just had to
Yeah.
mention that, and I'm so happy you know him. Angelo Capone, you know how I feel about you, baby. I love you, and I just thought it was appropriate to bring him up at this moment. So,
Yeah,
so
no,
thank you.
I hope he's watching. Hi, Angelo.
He
I hope
will
he's
be.
watching.
He will be. So, we love you, Angelo. So now, let's get back to the first question. So everybody wants to know. I don't mind if he got paid to do the telethons. He deserved to get
telethon.
paid.
Yeah.
But
Well,
did he ever?
If he
you know.
did get paid to do the telethons,
Okay.
that would not have been a bad thing.
No.
But because he always felt it important to tell people that he didn't get a penny from the MDA, he put himself in a trap.
Okay.
And that was his ego. The fact of the matter is, Geri was not on the payroll
Okay.
for the Muscular Dystrophy Association.
Okay.
I mean, I wasn't with Geri 24 hours a day, especially in the early days. But I don't think he was taking kickbacks from anybody. That wasn't his speed.
Okay.
But Geri did a lot of traveling. Geri's job, and people don't know, people think, did he get paid to do the telethon? The telethon was probably the simplest part of what Geri did for the Muscular Dystrophy Association.
Oh.
Geri's job was to find corporate sponsors. He would go to a company, and I'm just going to use an example
Sure.
because they were corporate sponsors, but let's say in the beginning he went to 7-Eleven
Okay.
Corporation. And he would tell 7-Eleven that, if you, for $500,000, and I believe that was towards the end, that was the number, to become a corporate sponsor. $500,000 to become a corporate sponsor. And we will mention your name. If you're going to donate money, I will read your name, so on and so forth. If you want to come on the telethon and donate and hand me a check, by the way, none of those checks were legitimate. Those were staged checks. The money was already in the bank.
Oh, okay,
and
cool. I get
they
it. Yes.
They'd make up a stage check
Yeah,
that
yeah,
they
yeah.
would hit
Yeah.
Geri, and Geri would look at it and cry, wishing that it was real so he can go out and buy a new
I
boat.
get it.
But so that's what Geri's one of his main functions, probably the main function aside from actually, helping to put the show together and all. Main function was to get these corporate sponsors on board.
Okay.
But to do that, Geri did a lot of traveling. He had to do a lot of, a lot of dinners, a lot of schmoozing with people. Look it up in the Hebrew dictionary.
I know
Schmoozing
it. I have listen, I have Jewish people in my family and they're my closest friends. I get it all, honey.
Okay. So Geri, he was compensated, or for his travel expenses, for lodging expenses, so on and so forth. I mean, I don't think it would have been very wise. Hold on, I've got to go like this, because this is my sister calling from California. Are we there? Are we still on?
We're still on, baby.
Okay, I'm back. Okay, I apologize. A phone call came in, and here we are, and it interrupted.
That's okay.
So anyway, yeah. So Geri was certainly compensated. There's certainly compensated. There's, there was a period of time from I'm hearing myself.
Yes,
talking
something
back to
is
myself.
happening now. Hold on a minute. Can you hear me
All right,
okay?
hold on a second. This is exciting.
Wait a minute, Rick, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine.
Okay.
Yes.
Ruben, should I read my poem now while you're fixing that? Because he could hear me good.
I can hear you fine,
All right, so should I read the poem now?
but I keep hearing myself back.
Okay, let's see what happens. Let me read the poem and then we'll see. All right, so hold on, Rick. I usually don't read the poem until towards the end, but let me read the poem just so we can see what's happening here.
Okay.
Okay, everybody. So I like to read a certain poem when I do entertainers. Okay, because hold on a minute. Oh Lord. Okay, here it is. It's called Utilizing Gifts and Talents, because I want everyone out there to know everyone has something to offer. Ruben, is everything okay? Should I just continue? Should I just, huh? He will? Rick, say something to me. Yeah. Rick, all right, I'll tell you what.
Once upon a midnight dreary,
I think you're
as
going to
I
have to
wanted.
sign out and come back in. What?
Okie doke.
No, Rick.
Do
Rick's
you
gonna
have to
sign
send me
out and come
another
back in.
link?
Are you sending him a new Zoom link? No, same Zoom link. All right, Rick, sign out and come back in. And I'll wait for you for the poem. I'll talk. So everybody, just bear with us
Good.
just a few minutes. They can hear me, right, Ruben? All right, just bear with us for a few minutes, guys. Okay, Rick will be back any minute. So, this is really interesting. The book that he's written and soon to be published, talks a lot about things that we've all wanted to know about Jerry Lewis, good, bad, or indifferent. It's not just going to be good stuff saying, oh, Jerry Lewis was so great at this, this, and this, what a great guy. It's not. You're going to want this book because it's going to be absolutely incredible because, we've all wanted to know the truth behind the scenes for a lot of entertainers, right? And Jerry Lewis is absolutely one of them. He's back, Ruben. And Jerry Lewis is absolutely one of them. So when we get to hear the truth from someone who absolutely knows the truth, that's what we want. And that is what this book is about. So I encourage everyone to please, please take this seriously and get this book. Because I know I'm ordering it, honey. So, Rick, can you talk? Let's hear you. I can't hear him.
I can talk. I can hear you. And
I still can't hear you. Is your speaker on, Rick?
oh, it's doing it again.
Hold on a minute. Hold on. The producer's handling this now,
everything
guys.
is on
So,
here.
guys, just bear with us for a couple more minutes. Okay, I'll keep talking. So, now back to what I was saying about the book. Again, it's not just stuff that's going to make Jerry Lewis look all pretty and nice and everything. This is real stuff, facts here from someone who should know. Okay, so, and I know there are a lot of people out there. Listen, maybe not in your 40s, but 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, honey, we all want to know about Jerry Lewis. Okay, so I'm super excited to get the book, and I'm going to read a poem now, and then we'll hopefully get Rick back on. We can see you, Rick, so we're hoping that the producer's fixing something here on our end as well. Here we go. This poem is called Utilizing Gifts and Talents, and the reason I like to read this is because I want everyone out there to know you all have something to offer, okay? God didn't just say, I'm going to make you special, him special. Everyone has something to offer, so here we go. We are born with talents, we are born with drive, with different gifts to help us thrive. I knew early on I was born to draw and paint, to also write poetry, and to talk without restraint. Our gifts and talents should all be used, God's gift to us, not be abused. We can go far in life for sure, using our gifts to go on tour. All our talents should be used to create ourselves and more, but then our job's to share them, to even up the score. You see, in life what's needed is not just for ourselves. Once our gifts are mastered, take them off the shelves. A living we can make by spreading them around, not just for the money, but to spread a peaceful sound. Don't take for granted the gifts you're given. Go out and spread the joy. Our gifts are not to be held back for us to self-destroy. Put your efforts forth. Do not hesitate. All your talents, my friend, are never second-rate. Never hold them back or you will surely die. Maybe not in body, but your soul will cry. Our gifts were made to share, our talents made to soar. So go through life enlightened and then you can roar. Be proud of who you are. Be happy you're alive. Once again, my friend, your gifts will help you thrive. By putting efforts forth, not keeping them at bay, your name, Rick Saphire, baby, will live forever, forever and a day. So go through life excited for what you sure can give. To yourself and others is our reason to live. Our grave will be quite lonely, but our legacy lives on. So make sure people smile with the breaking dawn. And that's what my guest is absolutely doing. He's making people smile. And I cannot wait till this book is out, and I cannot wait until I can read it. Talk now. Not yet? Me? Continue? All right, so
Hello,
he's getting this fixed. He's getting this fixed, okay? We're working on it. He set up another camera and everything. Okay. So, all right, so
wow.
guys,
This is very exciting.
bear with us, please. And when we get Rick back on, oh, I can see that. Look at that. That's so cool. When we get Rick back on, he'll be talking a little bit more about us, and he'll answer some more questions, okay? They can still see me, Ruben? Okay. and then we'll get this going. All right? Because I don't want to have to end this show and start a new one. That's why. So the producer's working really diligently back there trying to fix this. So almost, guys, almost. So listen, my book, once again, I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. I'd rather be a smartass than a dumbass. Okay, guys? Because listen, we all make mistakes. Everybody has a story. But what we do with that story later on in life will make or break us and our family members. So I decided to take my story and help others to heal. Okay? Because that's what's most important. If you can take all your hurts, your pain, your shortcomings, everything, your bad choices in life, right? If you could take all of that and now do something productive with it to help others, that's what our journey is about. So I just want everybody out there to really understand that and know that. And again, if anyone truly can't afford my book and really needs help, please, please reach out to me about that as well. Do you know about how much longer, Ruben? 1 more minute, maybe? Hopefully, guys, maybe 1 more minute. Let's see. I could read you another poem. Let's see what we got. All right. All right. Let's see. I could read another poem for you guys, okay? This one's good. This one's called My Story Ain't Over. In 2016, I published my book. The last 4 years have been off the hook. My book signings were great, interviews as well. Then asked to host a show with so much to tell. Who would have thought this could be true? Now on 5 networks I'm brought to you. International Hall of Fame radio show host is me, spreading hope across the globe for everyone to see. 33 years ago, guys, my life was a mess. 33 years later, it's filled with success. I never lost hope. I knew there was more. I needed to change my inner core. The last 33 years, man, what a ride. When I think back, I wanted to hide. I thank God I didn't. He led the way. He gave him my hand. I gave him my hand. I needed to pray. What God has done for me to now heal, He led me to you to help you to kneel. Give it to God and you won't regret. Your life can be changed. You don't have to fret. I'm proof, yes I am. Recovery is real. Changing your thoughts will allow you to heal. God made me His servant to help heal the sick. Hard work must apply if the fix is not quick. But if you do want it, hard work will prevail. From a 1 to a 10, you'll reach the scale. A nutritional health coach, a recovery coach too. God put me here to really help you. I'll never stop trying till God says enough. He's shown me my journey. He made me real tough. Proud of my certificates. They all state my name. I display them with pride on my wall of fame. Now, 2020 was revised. My book, the last few years, baby, have been off the hook. Rick's trying to call me, Ruben.
Yeah, tell him I sent him a new link.
All right.
I was hoping you saw my message.
Okay.
Oh, there he is.
He's there. Okay, cool, guys. We got him back, so hopefully this will work. Okay. He's coming back. He's coming back. Here we go. So we have him back.
Okay.
Say something, Rick.
I talk, but I hear myself a few seconds later.
I hear something. Okay, Rick, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear
Can
him,
you-
but very low. Hold on, hold on. Okay, Rick, say something.
Wait, hold on.
I think we're good.
All right, let me wait, no, hold on.
No, we are
Okay, I
good.
wanted to make, all right, I rebooted my computer while we were
Okay,
kind
so
of
we're good.
separated. You can hear me now?
I can hear you now, and we're synced. Okay, Ruben, you can close that door. Perfect. Okay.
Wow, this is exciting.
Okay, so now, Rick, let's continue. So I had asked you a couple questions, let's continue with what you want to say to people about maybe some thoughts they've had about Jerry Lewis that were a little negative to make it a little more positive, and then we'll continue with what your book is about.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Well, of course, through the years, there have been a lot of stories about Jerry. When people would come up to me and say, even years before I represented him, you remember I knew Jerry since I was 6. I was on The Tonight Show. When I mentioned The Tonight Show, what I forgot to mention was between Jack Parr leaving and Johnny Carson taking over to become the host, which he did for about 30 years, Jerry Lewis was the substitute host for 2 weeks. And that was the height of his television career after Dean Martin. And Jerry had me on with him doing Comedy and Magic the very last night of that 2-week run. So that was a phenomenal night. And so people knew my connection with Jerry. And they would always ask me these questions. I heard Jerry this and that. And I heard Jerry had a heart attack when he was 30. And I heard that Jerry fooled around with this one and with that one. And my answer to people, only because I really didn't feel like telling people everything I knew until I wrote a book, whereas it's over there. Anything you hear about Jerry Lewis, believe it, and you'll be okay. Jerry was a very special character. He was a loose cannon as a youngster. Jerry, we talked a little earlier about Angelo Capone.
Right.
Angelo knows this because we discussed this. Jerry hated imitators.
Yes, I know that too.
Hated imitators. And one of the reasons why is because the Jerry Lewis that we see in his professional pictures and his mugshots, listen to me, and his headshots and movie stills and whatever, the jerky guy with the eyes crossed and whatever, that wasn't Jerry. And he did not love that image at all. I will show you who Jerry really was by virtue of his very first professional photograph. And this is it. That is who Jerry wanted to be.
Move it a little bit more away, the other way, right? And now up a hair. Cover your face a little. I just want to see something.
Better with my face.
Wow, that's beautiful. All right, bring it down. Beautiful. Wow, thank you.
Yeah. Jerry was a very serious guy.
What?
As a matter of fact, a very serious guy. People talk about Jerry's sense of humor. He had an incredible sense of timing. He had an incredible sense of himself. But people say to me, he had the greatest sense of humor, and my answer is not quite. And that gets me to something that I always find interesting. There is a major difference, and I write about this in the book. There's a major difference between a comic and a comedian. And here's the difference.
Okay.
A comic says funny things. A comedian says things funny. Now, if you were to ask 10 people to name 5 of the funniest things they ever heard Jerry Lewis say, the likelihood is you wouldn't find anybody coming up with 2. So why don't you try it, Jerry? Say one of the funniest things that you ever heard Jerry say.
Lady.
Right. He never said that actually like that in a movie. But lady, the word lady, or the word hey lady, that's not funny. It's not even clever.
No, but he made it funny.
No, the impersonators made it funny.
Oh.
And that is the reason why he went with it. Because in the olden days, up until about 20 years ago, you weren't popular until you were being imitated.
Oh.
Look at the Now you mentioned a fellow before who does impressions, and he did 4 great impressions and so on and so forth. But look years ago, in the golden days of entertainment, in television, whatever, you had guys like Rich Little, and they would impersonate all of the great comedians. They'd Jackie Mason, who was my favorite comedian in the world.
Jackie Mason, baby.
He did the greatest impression of Ed Sullivan that you fall on the floor even if you didn't know who Ed Sullivan was. Who is being impersonated now? And who are the great impersonators now?
Yeah.
They're none.
Wow.
They're none. Jerry Lewis did not like to be impersonated because the impersonators were showing the side of Jerry that he did not love of himself. And towards, Jerry stopped making movies in 2000, in 1970.
Okay.
Not that he wanted to stop making movies, but, one of Jerry's idols was Charlie Chaplin.
Okay.
Charlie Chaplin, at best, had a 15 to 20-year run, and that was it. Talkies came in, and Charlie Chaplin made a couple of prominent movies, 3 or 4. The Great Dictator and so on and so forth. They were good movies. In The Great Dictator, he played a caricature of Adolf Hitler, but it was most of his things were silent. He was still playing that silent character. Jerry's slapstick comedy, it had changed. I even talked to Jerry once about, I asked him, if you didn't break up with Dean when you did, how long would the team have lasted? And he said, maybe 2 or 3 years, Rick. He said, because people weren't buying. They would have had to do sophisticated comedy, which Jerry tried to do after he broke up with Dean. He did a movie called Boeing Boeing with what's his name? Tony Curtis. Pardon me, Tony. And it was an attempt at sophisticated comedy. It didn't work because Jerry's fans went to see the movie and they wanted Jerry Lewis. And I told this to Jerry because he and I didn't pull punches with each other. If you're an entertainer and you're a big star and you sustain whatever, Gary Lewis knows this better than anybody. You always have to pay attention to your original fans because they're the ones that are going to sustain you. Times change, tastes change. My dear friend and longtime client and my heartthrob when I was 13 years old was Haley Mills. I loved Haley. And I used to dream about taking Haley Mills, holding hands and going into a soda shop and having and the scene changes 40 years later and I'm on an airplane where they're going to Phoenix, Arizona to do personal appearances. I was blessed with that kind of thing. But Haley knew more than anybody else. Her original fans were the ones, no matter what she would do. She did television series as an adult. She did some movies. She was on the first season of Saved by the Bell when it was owned by Disney. But who really was her following? Her original fans.
Yes.
Jerry, he couldn't hang on to the original fans. I mean, we love him. We love to watch his old movies. But the things that he tried to do to become serious, Max Rose, which was a movie, a very serious. A man was a musician and his wife died and his daughter is trying to help him through the sadness. That's good. But if you become a star, there's a reason for you becoming a star because you have something that the public needed and wanted.
Okay.
And that's what Jerry Lewis had when he first broke in with Dean Martin. World War II was just over. We had 5 or 6 years of terrible anxiety, great losses. we needed something just to laugh at and to have fun with. And that's when Martin and Lewis broke through. 1970, Vietnam, whatever. He wasn't, he was too old. He outgrew the image, and sadly for Geri, he could not keep up with the times comedically. And he got angry about that. And that is why you see so many interviews that he did as an older person. And he looked, I mean, like somebody called him a curmudgeon, an old angry guy, but he was. And he couldn't stand the impersonators because number one, he didn't like the image. And number two, he wasn't that thrilled that it was that image that made him an absolute superstar. Geri was a serious guy.
Wow.
And maybe for good reason, because he was very bright and very smart. People ask me if Geri, what was the question? People ask me if Geri was a genius. And I said, absolutely. Geri was a genius at producing, directing, writing, acting in Jerry Lewis movies. But what else did he produce and direct and write and star in? Nothing. Alfred Hitchcock did a lot of different things with a lot of different people. You know, Geri had a place in the world, and we still love him, and I still adore his movies up until about 1966. Then I couldn't watch them anymore. But times changed, and sadly, Geri didn't change with the times.
First of all,
End of lecture. I'm sorry. Go on, Sol.
No. I love you talking. I just want to interrupt you, and I don't like doing that, but I admire and respect your honesty. You know, I'm listening to you talk, and it's just amazing everything you're saying. You obviously got the family's blessings for this book as well.
The only blessing that I wanted from this book was from Geri Lewis.
And you got that.
Oh, yeah. Geri is actually, for the very first time, Geri is permitting his real story to be written. It gets very sad.
He wasn't a very good father, I also heard.
Worse than that.
Okay.
But,
yeah.
you know, people are asked, now the big question is, the third question that people always ask, you know, why did Geri, I thought he was worth $50 million. Why did he cut all of his children out of the will? Well, if Geri was worth $50 million when he died, it was $50 million in debt.
Okay.
Geri was a spender. When I took him to Germany, we did 2 years in a row going to Germany for this tour. The following year was his 80th birthday. They did a big celebration. He went back on the Golden Camera Awards and whatever. I got a call from his wife, his stepwife. Patty stepped out and she stepped in. So I call her stepwife.
I like that.
And she said to me on the phone, Rick, please do me a favor. Don't let Geri buy any Louis Vuitton luggage. We've got a warehouse full of it. We don't need it. And I swear, guess where I was when I got her call? We were in Germany, me, my wife, Geri's son Anthony, and a few other people. We were standing in the Louis Vuitton store. He wanted to go there.
He was addicted.
He was addicted to stuff.
Spending, yeah.
The stuff.
Yeah.
You know, he reminded me of the saying, you know, he who dies with the most toys wins. But that was Geri. He had an impoverished childhood, and he loved stuff. I mean, to the point where, you know, how many
Right.
Cartier watches do you need?
Right.
So there was a lot about Geri. Relationship with his children. It's in the book.
Yep.
Geri asked me to please schedule our trip with Geri Lewis and the Playboys to the Philippines, to schedule it a day early, because that way Geri would have to miss the telethon and wouldn't have to go on it again. there's a lot of stuff. And in the book,
Okay.
there's stuff that
Okay.
I don't even like verbalizing,
Okay.
but it's,
That's so cool, though, that you're
I,
sharing it
I
all.
will, I'll tell you one anecdote,
Okay.
one story,
Here we go.
if we have time.
We have one story, and then yep, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. For many, many years, Gary asked me to turn down all of the requests that he would get from Vietnam veterans organizations to give him an honor and to give him an award and a trophy and a plaque for serving in Vietnam during the years. Now, Gary Lewis and the Playboys came out in 64. Gary was drafted in 66, and then he went into the service for 2 years, right in the heart of Vietnam. Sadly for Gary, when he came out of the service, the music had changed in those 2 years. It was no longer rock and roll, it was now rock. And it wasn't Gary's style. So that's a side story. But Jerry did an interview in the newspaper for the Associated Press, I believe, where he talked about that Jerry himself would move his family and his children out of this country to save them from having to go through the hell that Gary went through, having to serve in Vietnam, seeing two of his buddies blown up in front of him in the mess hall. This story is in the newspapers. It could be searched. It's there. And all of the requests that I was getting, Vietnam organizations, Gary wanted me to turn them down. Finally, Gary sat down with me. After Sean, oh golly, what's your name, Sean? Sean. Another Jerry Lewis book. Sean Levy wrote this wonderful book and detailed Gary coming home from Vietnam, addicted to drugs. And even Jerry said in this newspaper article that Gary was so despondent and so lifeless that he probably would have been better off if he got killed in Vietnam. That's what Jerry said
About his son?
about his son, Gary.
I don't know how to handle
And
that right now.
finally, Gary sat me down and he said, Rick, I never set foot in Vietnam. My father made it up. And it's frightening. And the whole story is in the book. Why did Jerry do it?
Yeah, why? I was going to just ask you.
He was, at that point, he was hurting for publicity. He didn't care what he said, Jerry. And it's sad. It's very sad. The man who still makes us laugh hysterically, and we love him, and we love his movies, we love to watch him, was so desperate for attention, any way, shape, or form, he threw his son, I hate to say, under the bus, because there's already a lot of people under that bus. And Gary was embarrassed for his whole comeback career, because Gary Lewis and the Playboys, they're working 20 weeks a year now. But finally, Gary said, Rick, he said, you're the only one that could do it. Go for it. Tell the story in the book. People don't like me. It wasn't my fault. It is what it is. And Gary has learned to understand a very, it's hard for me to even talk about it, and Gary is such a good guy. And so when you asked me before, I got permission from the family. The only one I want permission from is Gary. I do have permission from somebody else who was part of the family. Jerry's youngest son, Joseph,
Okay.
died at age 45 years ago of, they don't know whether it was suicide or just an accidental overdose, but it was drug related and he died. But before Joseph died, he envisioned writing a book about his growing up. The book was never completed. Joseph and his wife at the time, Kimberly, split up, and Joseph left all of his memoirs with Kimberly. And she said, but don't you want Joseph said, I'm not going to write a book. Kimberly, they're yours. You do what you want with them. And Kimberly, we're very friendly, Kimberly. Jerry, she has two children from Joseph, Jerry's grandchildren, who Jerry never met. He could have, but he didn't want to meet them. And so I have the manuscript, and we're going to take little bits and pieces out of the manuscript. There's stuff that Joseph wrote that I would never put into print. It's that bad. So it's very sad.
Okay.
It's very sad. But imagine all of this tormented life that Geri had, all somehow formed itself into that comedic character who was that 9-year-old kid who would scream and yell for the ladies and all that stuff. It's all part of the workings of Geri. And that's why there has never been anybody who could really duplicate what Geri did.
Right.
An imitation, a funny voice.
Right.
Our friend, nobody could duplicate it because nobody had that fever inside of them that Geri had. And so it all worked out good for us, maybe not good for Geri, but we've got his films.
So I want to share something with you. Listening to what you're saying, and again, I can't wait to read this book. Hurt people hurt people.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming Geri also had a horrible past as a child.
He had a very rough past as
Yep.
a child.
Things happen to children that they don't get over or know how to deal with or even fix. And especially back then, it wasn't all this counseling and all this stuff, we
Right.
have now. And then when they become parents, they don't know how to fix what's happened to them, and they act out.
Mm-hmm.
And hurt people hurt people. And
You know what the toughest thing is? The toughest thing is to try to help somebody get over things that happened to them before they were able to talk,
Right.
before they had language.
Right.
Because things happened that they could never explain to anybody, even at that point, because they didn't have
That's right.
language to put the feelings and the emotions
That's right.
into language.
That's right.
So it depends how far back the hurt goes.
I've interviewed a lot of comedians, a lot of comics. Now I know the difference. Okay, I
Oh,
really,
yeah.
I did it.
There's a
Thank you for sharing that. A lot of impersonators, and 95% of them tell me the same thing. They do this to escape the reality of their lives, and that's why they,
Let
you know,
me interrupt you for a second.
yeah.
There's something that we also have to remember and understand. How many truck drivers have you interviewed
Oh,
and asked them
yes.
about their childhood?
No, I did. Wait, I know all about it.
Okay.
Okay, so I can't believe you just brought up truck drivers. Okay, so I've become, oh my goodness, I've become very friendly with a few truck drivers, and one of them is Marie Norris. She's also a singer, and she's up for an award, and I'm praying this
Wow.
girl gets it, because her mother died years when she was younger. Her life horrendous. Okay, they're called Truckers for Christ, actually, if you want to look them up. But they were the first ones to let me know. You know how many suicides a day were truck drivers? I mean. And that's why they drive trucks, because they can't even deal with people. They're in trucks sometimes for 3 days, not talking to anyone. So I can't
Right.
believe you brought that up. So yes,
It just seemed logical to me. you know,
yes.
I mean,
So yes,
But it
I
could be
know all
anybody,
that
sure.
now.
we focus on entertainers
Yes,
because we believe that we want to believe that we know who they are. But that was the Hollywood studio system. They didn't want this one dating that one, and they didn't want
Right.
poor little Judy Garland to become overweight, and they didn't want all these things because they knew where their bread was buttered,
Right.
and they knew that we want to. Hey, look at Patty Lewis. Patty Lewis, Geri's first wife. She was Patty Palmer, and she was a wonderful big band singer. And then she became pregnant. This was World War II. The big bands were touring all over the place, playing for the troops. But why did the bands have a pretty singer come out in front so that the soldiers could fantasize? Oh, wouldn't it be nice to, and I'm not talking about sex. Wouldn't it be nice just to put my arms around her, and she's so pretty and she sings so nice? But when Patty became pregnant, that sort of would break the fantasy.
yeah, sure.
And so It's the perception of the what we want to make of the entertainer, and Hollywood, television, the movies, they want to help us along to think of these entertainers, these actors, the way they want us to think about them. And that's,
You're right.
but it's getting too deep.
Yeah. So I'm going to share something before. We're going to be closing soon, and I'll give you the
Okay.
mic for one last thing, but I want to share something because of what you're saying. So everyone that knows me knows I'm a huge Elvis fan, okay? We all think we're the biggest Elvis fans because I think I am, you know what I mean?
Right.
And what I've learned over the last 10, 15 years, I interviewed a gentleman who was given the name. I have the court documents. I've got Elvis's last will and testament. I've got a certified letter from Graceland. It's all sent to me. Elvis Aaron Presley Jr., he is his son.
Mhm.
And now I'm going to be, I interviewed him again a few weeks ago. That was my second interview with him. And now I'll be interviewing Elvis's first daughter. Her mother was 15 when she got pregnant. Elvis was 20 or 21.
Uh-huh.
And I will be interviewing her as well. So we all have what we like to, like you said, believe of our, people we love, and, we're fans and this and that. And then the true stories come out, and then you're like, wow. So I want to thank you, Rick.
Oh, you're
First
very
of
welcome.
all, for this incredible interview. This isn't over. We're going to do part 2. And that one will be live in studio. This was amazing. I want everybody out there to please share this, and please forgive us again for the little tech issue. Not a big deal. You could forward it. Also, this will be on iHeartRadio next Tuesday night at 9 p.m., the audio of it. And everybody, please, 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 when his book is out, please order his book. Rick, how would you like to close to talk to everybody listening?
Well, first of all, I hope that those who are the consummate Jerry Lewis fans will understand that this book, again, is not just another biography. It's going to tell some stories that are maybe unexpected or a little bit emotional. But if you're a real fan, get to know the real person, because you'll appreciate the talent and the skill of this man even more when you know his real story. The other thing is, the book isn't out yet. It will be out on Amazon and, all the places. Hopefully, as of May 28th, we're pushing real hard. But if you'd like to drop me an email, and I will hang on to it and write to you directly when the book is available. It's pretty easy. My email address is Rick, that's me, and then my name, Rick Saphire, RickSaphire.com. And I'll be very happy to let you know when the book is available. And I appreciate people listening. And Jerry, I appreciate your expertise. You're really good at this.
Oh, thank you. Wow. That means a lot coming from you. This is amazing. Again, Rick, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for this incredible interview, honoring me today. Guys, please, please share this and watch out for it on iHeartRadio, Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Thank you, Rick. Producer,
Sure.
take us out.
Ladies and gentlemen, Geri Petito.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Love's the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
When you don't know just what to do.
Just what to do, just what to do.
If what you're feeling is really true.
Is it really true? Is it really true?
Just keep your ideas safe and sound.
Safe and sound, safe and sound.
That's exactly how change is found.
Change is found, change is found. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Love's the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.